All right. I am on live. All right. Yep, it is that time. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. Um, it's been exactly 1 year since I've done a stream. So I'm hoping I can get all the kinks out of the way and I tried to set up everything as best as I could. So thank you all again for joining me. I see we had 8 people on. And I want to wish everybody a Merry Squidmas before I start. And speaking of squids, I also want to start off by doing a cephalopod of the day. So let's get to it. So what we're going to do is pretty much storytelling after doing the cephalopod of the day for at least an hour, and then open up the chat for anybody who wants to join in and have a little discussion for at least the second hour. Good to see Purple back in. And unfortunately, you'll hear me clearing out my throat a lot in the stream, and you'll hear me probably cough as if I don't catch myself like muting my mic before I do so. I'm just not feeling really well today. Unfortunately, I got sick before this whole thing, so my voice is just not up there anymore. So I might sound a little different than usual, but here we go. So we're gonna first start off with our cephalopod today. Welcome everybody again for all those who are joining us in the stream. All right, today we have our lovely glass octopus. The Vetra, I'm going to botch this, but the Vetraledonella richardi, also known as the glass octopus, gets its name, of course, from being able to practically see through it, except the optic nerve and it's like that's its eyes and digestive tract. They live in the deep tropical and subtropical seas, about 3,000 feet below the surface. And they grow up to a foot and or a foot and a half. We don't know too much about these rarely seen creatures for obvious reasons, but they are indeed a spectacular sight when caught. There have been only a few sightings recorded of them and considered one of the least studied cephalopods out there. So each sighting helps us understand this wondrous creature a little bit more. And a bit of a reminder that there's still a lot to discover in our oceans alone. Forget space, like we need to see what's in our oceans. And no, no, octopus does not like octopuses like did not come from a meteor. Sorry, my pal. So that's yeah, look at that. It's amazing. I'm like pulling a brie here before starting a stream, then doing like instead of a bug of the week or something like that. I'm gonna see if I can do like a cephalopod of the day each time I do a stream. All right, now before we start our first story, let me just remind everybody that it could be a little graphic, but it's it's there. I found it on the webs and I couldn't really come up with a really good story for this, so I just decided to pull something up. This one is from um, let's see, I think it's Disturbing Tales or something like that. Let me see. Just real quick. Yeah, sorry. Unsettlingstories.com. And guess what it's going to be about? It's going to be about this little blugger. Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to do one of these. And I'll subject everybody to another horrible story later, but we'll catch up to it later. All right, this one is an Elf on the Shelf by Unsettling Stories. Grandma would always warn me that the elf on the shelf was watching to make sure that I wasn't bad. Growing up, even when it was nowhere near Christmas, the elf would observe me and judge me. With my brother and cousins all around all the time, it wasn't that easy to be good. But I tried. I really did. When I make a mistake and be mean to one of them, I felt the elf staring at me. It would remember that moment. I'd picture it waiting until I was in bed, then running to tattle on Santa. No matter how much I screamed and sobbed to it, the elf wouldn't answer. It would just watch and wait for me to do something bad again. It knew me too well. On the 4th of July, I burned Marissa, my sister, with a sparkler. And I didn't do it on purpose. I mean, I meant to burn Marissa, but I didn't want to hurt her. I just wanted to see what happened. Unfortunately, she got hurt pretty bad, and Grandma had to take her to the hospital. But not before she got out of the belt. She got out the belt and whipped me until I couldn't sit down anymore. After Marissa's mom came over to give me a beating of her own, I was left with watching Neil, my little brother. Grandma was still at the hospital, and Neil watched TV while I tried to walk off the pain from the beatings. Before Dad died, that's what he used to tell me to do, just to walk it off. I walked a lot, and when I got to the living room, the elf was watching me. It knew. Its wooden mouth was open, almost like it was screaming accusations. You're a bad kid. No one likes you. Santa thinks you're terrible, and you'll be a bad person when you grow up. It didn't actually speak, of course, but it was obvious that what it meant, it was the same stuff that Grandma would say to me, day in and day out. And somehow I always made sure to live up to it. Try as I might, I couldn't be good. At the age of 8, I was already certain I was rotten to the core. Months went by and my best efforts yielded punishment. But if I wasn't accidentally knocking over a vase in the kitchen, I was tracking mud into the hallway. It invariably ended with my pants around the ankles and my grandfather letter belt smashing into me. And I try not to scream because screaming would only make the beatings last longer. When it was finally over, I got back up and told myself I'd be better, that I'd be a good kid from here on out. And for a while, for the entire month of November into December, I was good. Grandma, Neil, and I went to get our Christmas tree in December 29th. Sorry. We wanted to get our Christmas tree on December 4th. We came home and decorated it until cookies baked in the oven. I remember Grandma lifting me with her strong, solid arms, and I could still put the star on top. The star had been her daughter's, well, my mom's, and it was only the only thing left that had belonged to her. On the 5th, after Neil and I had gotten home from school, we were playing around. And like all siblings, we played rough. With him being 6 and me being 8, I was quite a bit bigger. And we were wrestling, and I was spinning him by his arm, and I made a mistake. I let him go and sent him right into the Christmas tree. It fell onto the hardwood floor, and the ornaments broke. The lights went out, and the stars shattered. In that instant, I was panicking. I knew Neil would tell Grandma. I knew that the elf in the other room would learn what I've done. I've been good for so long that I started hoping I might get Christmas presents. After this, though, after breaking the one thing that Grandma had left after her daughter was killed by Dad, I'd be doomed. Grandma would beat me senseless, and the elf would tell Santa I'd get nothing, and Neil would taunt me with his presence. Something sparked inside me, though. What if the elf hadn't seen what happened? What if Neil didn't tell Grandma? I was very busy for about an hour, but I finished. The job was done. Grandma would come back from work any minute, and I knew I might not fool her, but I'd fool the elf. That was the most important thing. It was he who talked to Santa, after all, not Grandma. So I wore my little brother's face into the living room and looked at the elf on the shelf. He stared back with his black, judgmental eyes. I'm sorry I knocked over the tree and broke the ornament, I said, doing my best impression of Neil's high voice. I thought about his body cooling on the kitchen floor and his blood making a mess everywhere. Maybe Grandma would believe he fell on a knife if I cried hard enough. Under the mask of my brother's skin, I peered at the elf through the eye holes. The skin tasted awful, but I had to breathe through my mouth because the nose holes didn't line up right. And I wondered if the elf believed me. I'm sorry, elf, I squeaked again. I heard the garage door rising and the cart pulling inside. Grandma was home. I felt a new rush of panic and glared through the cold mask of the arbiter of my Christmas fortune. The door connecting the garage to the kitchen door opened, and I heard my grandmother's shrill, hysterical shriek. Elf, I whispered, as tears mixed with my brother's blood and cascaded down my face. The elf on the shelf cocked his head at me and opened its mouth and closed. It spoke. You've been very bad, Neil. I fell to my knees in fervent, incomprehensible relief. Some part of me heard Grandma still screaming, somehow even louder than when she came into the room and saw me. Again, the elf spoke. You've been terrible, Neil. Grandma whirled around and looked back at the shelf and the elf, but then shook her head back and forth like she was trying to get a hold of herself. I stood up, not wanting to ruin the illusion for the elf, and I held my mask to my face until I left the room, and I sat down to the kitchen. Grandma didn't try to hit me. She didn't even touch me at all. I plopped the skin back on Neil's head and told Grandma that he fell. She didn't answer, though. It didn't matter. 20 days later, in my own warm room at the hospital, I got some very nice Christmas presents. The doctors and nurses were so kind and gentle with me. One even hugged me after I opened my gifts. The gifts weren't exactly what I'd hoped for, but they were better than nothing. So much better. I giggled to myself as we hugged, and then the nurse asked what I was laughing at. I lied, and I told her I remembered a funny joke. She smiled, and I was surprised to see a tear running down her cheek. I didn't think much of it, though. All that mattered was that I'd won. I finally fooled the elf on the shelf. All right, and that is the story from Unsettling Stories. What the hell is Elf on the Shelf? Yeah, that's just something that some homes just do to spy on their kids. They put like this little toy on a shelf, and they say that the kids are not allowed to touch it, otherwise its magic will go away, and they won't be able to report back to Santa, see if they were being naughty or nice. Yeah, I would too. There was actually this other story I was going to tell, unfortunately, it said that like if anybody was narrating it, they'd be like copyright striked right away. And apparently, it was like owned by Creepypasta, so I wouldn't be able to say much about it. But I could summarize it. Um, basically, there was these two siblings. One was an older girl who was, I guess, college age, 18, I think she was, and she was living on her own. She came to visit her parents and saw the elf on the shelf there. Um, and I guess they were still putting it on for her younger sibling because she still believed in Santa and everything. So once she got back home, she saw that same elf on her kitchen. I think it was like on the coffee machine or something like that, or on her kitchen cabinets, or uh, something like that. And once she saw that, she took a picture of it, sent it to her mom, and said, "Did you guys put Humboldt, which is the name of the elf in their family? Did you put Humble over here? And what kind of joke is this?" And they were denying it, and day and night the elf would be coming back and forth into the house, and to her apartment. So she was wondering like how on earth, like if somebody would break in and take the elf and put it between the house and the apartment, like her apartment. And so she was kind of creeped out by it. And so yeah, uh, as much as she wanted to touch it and stick it to the shelf or do something else with it or send it back, she was just so afraid to like not like to touch it at all, because I think she still didn't grow out of like that phase where like she was told she couldn't touch this thing because the magic will go away, and she didn't want to ruin that magic for her sister. So in the end, she realized that she didn't really grow out of it. But it was like back and forth where this thing would just be traveling between the two places, and she had no idea how it was doing it. Yep, pretty much. Elf on the Shelf came because too many kids asked how Santa could possibly watch everybody in the world at the same time. Yeah. And some people think that it's a way to make surveillance a normal thing, but that's just a conspiracy theory. I don't know if there's much truth to that or anything like that. Yep. Okay. Before I go into the next part of this, I am going to just let's see, make sure that everything's running right. Okay, good. I am on the page, and I will get this creepy guy out of my screen, and let's go to um, different stories that um, are shared around the world. So, of course, let's start off by a couple. Well, there's 12 of them. So, again, we're going to share some little ghost stories here, um, or really scary stories. Here is, of course, Krampus. And I'm just going to get my page ready. I'm just putting the pictures on so everybody can see. I'm so sorry, everybody. I'm just not feeling good today. I'm trying. Okay. Oh, hopefully, everybody's having a good day. And not too many people are, like, hopefully, not too many people are sick. Bub, I know I heard that Bub was not feeling well, so I can relate. I was hoping to feel at least by 90% by the time that I started streaming, but that didn't happen, and I was starting to feel very, very tired before getting on. Okay, on this page, we have 12 creepy ghost stories for each of the 12 days of Christmas. And like I said, we're starting off with Krampus, who is one of the most famous monstrous personas connected to the Christmas time. His name is derived from German word for claw and punishes children, pretty much being dressed like Santa Claus. It's said that he's an evil half demon, half goat, who shows up on the night of December 5th, before the 6th for some reason, on St. Nicholas Day, which is known as Krampus Night. And according to the legends, the satanic creature leaves lumps of coal in children's stockings, beats and kidnaps kids, putting them in his bag and taking them to eat them or throw them straight to hell. People from Germany and Austria and Slovenia and Northern Italy celebrate Krampus Night on December 5th for some reason. They dress up like Krampuses to chase away the evil spirit, though. And some regions of Germany are recently trying to bury this legend and accompanying the festival because it's deemed too violent. And I can imagine why. Um, Especially if you're actually going out there like beating kids. Um, yeah. Sorry, my eyes are like closing over here for some reason. Okay, in the next one, we have. I'm gonna botch this. But, Neck Rupert? Neck Rupert. Yeah. Neck Rupert as a farmhand Rupert. This old man from the 17th century Germany and Austrian folklore was thought to be a companion of Saint Nicholas, but unlike his benevolent friend who gave presents for good children, Rupert was mean and abusive and often dealt with the mischievous kids. And I can imagine that that burlap sack was just used to put them in there. And what he's holding is just to use to beat them with too. He was often represented in a filthy brown robe and had a long black or white beard, depending on who's telling the story. He was generous with some kids, though, and he asked them if they would pray, and if they could, he gave them an apple or a piece of gingerbread. And but sorry, but if they couldn't, they receive a lump of coal and a severe punishment. He whipped them with his sticks and hit them with a bag of ashes. Okay, so I guess he would beat them with the stick that he's holding, but he's also using the bag as holding a bag of ashes. Hopefully, those aren't like cremated kids in there or something like that. The next one, number three, Bell's Nickel. Friendly looking fella, isn't he? Bell's Nickel is a creepy old man similar to Farmhand Rupert, and he's dressed in filthy rags, even though he kind of looks like Santa here. Um, but he has a long reptile tongue and covered his face with a strange white mask to hide his true identity. Yeah, his face kind of looks like a mask when you're looking at the picture here. He also gives candy to to the children who are good, but beats the kids who are misbehaved. There's a common thing here with rewarding, of course, good kids, and but for some reason it always resorts to violence with the bad kids, as if that actually does anything to stop bad behavior. All right, our next one is um I'm gonna botch this also. It's fruit percha. This this story of fruit percha also has a German and Austrian pagan origin. So a lot of the stories are from European, uh, Austrian and Germany um, origins, I guess, and they exist long before Christianity, the pagan origins. Um, in in Germany, Frau stands for woman or Mrs., which is and this is an ugly witch who lives in the forest and roams around the town and villages during the 12 days of Christmas, in the period between the 25th and the 6th. She rewards good people by not by cutting, putting a silver coin underneath their pillows, but has a gruesome punishment, of course, for the bad ones. And that would include cutting their bellies open and taking their internal organs and replacing them with garbage. Yeah, it's it's pretty gruesome. I think that's even more gruesome than beating people, but replacing them with their internal organs with garbage? That's an extra step. My goodness. Our next one we have here, we have three images. It's for Anne Boleyn's ghost. Here's the one I guess I can just put up. But her ghost, there's a story behind it, but locked in the Tower of London because of her adultery, of course. And Queen Anne Boleyn was decapitated by her own husband, Henry VIII. Her ghost can be spotted around Hever Castle at the Tower of London at Christmas time with her head tucked under her arm. So I guess the castle they're talking about is this one over here. I'm not sure. It looks so bloody for some reason. I guess that's just the foliage that covers the castle. But doesn't it look like a bloody accident happened? Creepy. And look who we have here again. Oh boy, we can't escape this little guy. So, as we mentioned before, we in this, I guess, in the states only, we use this guy and pretty much to spy on kids to make sure that they're behaving well. Um, there, I mean, the story behind is not really a scary one unless you're afraid of being watched or followed, or have like a phobia of like possessed dolls. Yeah. Um, like the story of the Elf and Shell originates from uh, a children's book, and back in 2005. Um, Basically, of course, the porcelain figures of the elves are alive and watch the children misbehave during the months of December. Um, and like I mentioned, kids shouldn't move the elf. They can't get rid of it. Even if a kid barely touches the elf, it loses its magical powers, and therefore Santa can't return. Santa can't come by or know if you've been bad, but it loses its magic, so it can't go back to Santa to report it. So he won't know. Um, let's see. And I guess what's more worse is that these creepy elves, they pull pranks around the house while the family is away, apparently. Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just one way. I've seen plenty of images where like if you just search them up, and yeah, this one is actually carrying scissors too, of all things. But you'll see them being depicted with either some sharp object like a knife or scissors, and oh my gosh, I think for me as a child I'd be terrified, knowing that something would be coming at me with something like that. Just look at the way that he looks at, like if you stare at him at the right angle, it'd be like he's watching you. Thanks, Ring. Thanks. I've had it up to here with these. Well, I don't know if I can swear on my own stream, but these mother effing elves on these mother effing shelves. All right, our next one is more Halloweeny. La Befana. Um, it's an Italian female version of Saint Nicholas, but um, yeah, I don't know how, but I think she's more of a witch. Going by the depiction here, yeah, and a scene with black clothes from head to toe, flying in a broom. Of course, like what stereotypical witches would do, delivering presents for the children who have been good, and coal for the misfortune who have been badly behaved. I don't know what to say. Um, I like the kitty though. Kitties are always good. Does the kitty do the navigation? Okay, our next one. I'm not sure what this is about, but it's called Consoda. Consoda is a Portugal tradition dedicated to the dead. Families gather for a big feast early in the morning of December 25th to honor their past relatives. What is spooky about this holiday is that they lay out plates of food not for themselves, but also for their deceased family members to invite their spirits to join them for breakfast right before Christmas. So for me, that kind of sounds like what they do in Mexico, Dia de los Muertos, in which they leave food for the dead so they can have a feast. In English, of course, Day of the Dead. Speaking of which, Purple, um, I have seen plenty of decorations that were just pretty much turned into Christmas decorations from putting up. Well, they never take down their Halloween decorations, and all they do is just put like a Christmas hat on like a skeleton and just say, there you go, there's a Christmas decoration. So I guess I love how people are getting creative now with that. Instead of like putting down their Halloween decorations, they would just convert it into a Christmas decoration just by putting something festive on. In terms of the coal for the bad kids, to be honest, I'm not sure. Other than, coal just being used for heat in certain areas, um, that's the only thing I can think of. I mean, if you get one piece of coal, it won't really warm your house up. But if you get multiple pieces of coal, you can probably start a fire or something like that. I'm so sorry. Feeling a little congested. But yeah, that's the only thing I can think of really, that coal would be coming from. It's just that it was used as a heat source. Um, and it's not really an exciting thing to get for Christmas. All right, our next one, what looks like babushka. It's Greta and the 13 Yule Lads. These characters are part of the national folklore of Iceland. Um, Grella is an off-haired troll witch who lives in the mountains with her 13 children. My goodness, who got down with you? Well, maybe during your prime time. Better known as the Yule Lads. Those are her 13 children, the Yule Lads. She kidnaps children who misbehaves and endeavors them. Oh, I'm sorry, devours them whole to to satisfy her hunger, pretty much. The Yule Lads were 13 nasty gnomes with white beards who terrorized people by slamming doors, harassing pets and farm animals, breaking house stuff, and stealing food, licking pots and spoons. But it didn't hurt people per se. Just, um, just a troll witch would devour kids. That's not hurting people at all, is it? Our next one is a big kitty. For our cats lover out there, this kitty is called um, the Jolakuturin Yule cat. It lives in the mountains of Iceland, and it is the pet of the troll from before, actually. Um, and the legend of this enormous carnivorous creature is encourage hard work. To encourage hard work before Christmas. Um, I guess it's like to scare people from being lazy. I don't know what kind of message it would like say to the people other than, or how would it know when people are being lazy? But it's pretty much to terrorize lazy people around the holiday period. And the hardworking people will receive new clothes for Christmas. The lazy ones who wear their old clothing are tortured and eaten by this cat. And the Yule cat attacks anyone who doesn't wear their new clothes during the Christmas season. So it wants you to buy new stuff, otherwise it'll eat you. Capitalistic kitty. Our next one here. Oh goodness, I'm gonna botch this one too. It's Caliconsaurus, um, otherwise known as Karakajumpu. It's an Earl spirit from the southeastern European countries, mythologies like Greece, Bulgaria, Turkey, Serbia, Macedonia, and Bosnia. These goblins saw trees trying to destroy the earth, and they wreak havoc in people's homes, spoil food, and make the 12 days of Christmas a living hell. And they only lived only through the period between the 25th and January 6th, um, which is called the Dark Days by Christians. Um, it's a, as you can see, of course, it's like a beast here. Kind of reminds me of that monster from Monsters Inc. Um, and of course, it has the long horns, big long tail, hair all over its body, and in some versions with one eye and one leg. I'm not sure how it would travel with one leg, though. It lives underground and has a foul smell. In the past, people believed that children born during the 12 days of Christmas may have the misfortune to turn into these creatures. Wow. And that's why they wrap their babies in straw for prevention. Because if you don't wrap your babies in straw, you'll become a creature like this. If you were born on the 12 days of Christmas. So it sucks to be those who were born around the Christmas time. Yep, Sully. Yeah, pretty much. It looks like the love child of Sully and Mike from Monsters Inc. I was thinking the same thing too. Is all mythology rooted in religion? Um, Possibly. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that one. Other than I don't know. All right. Bye, Mike Scully. I don't know what to call you. And our last one here, we have the Kukeri at number 12. Um, in Bulgaria and other Balkan countries, there is a pagan ritual called Kukeri. Young men from many towns and villages who put on heavy wool costumes with scary wooden masks and large bells attached to their belts. And when they go on a big parade around the village to expel the evil spirits, the tradition will take place during the last Christmas holidays. Oh, okay. Good. Until recent times, there were no difference between mythology and religion. They were one and the same. Okay, there's one answer. So those are the 12 creepy ghost stories apparently of the 12 days of Christmas. Hope everybody learned something because I sure did. Um, a lot of it just was really more I don't know. A lot of it was just a lot of just beating children who just misbehaved, of course. And I don't know how I really feel about that. It didn't work for me. And of course, a lot of people in the stream, on the chat, would probably agree that it didn't really do anything other than like create fear. Now, I do have one more thing to subject you all to before I open the chat. Hey, Claire, thank you for popping in. But being that this is an atheist channel, as well as a storytelling channel, guess what we have to do? I'm gonna just pop this page up so we can all just take a look. And I'm gonna subject this all to the boring story of the nativity. I will spare you all the genealogy part of this whole thing because I can care less about genealogy. I don't know why it really mattered, and it'll take up a bunch of I don't know, for me it just takes up a bunch of space in the page just to get something written down. But apparently it matters because there were 14 generations from Abraham to David, and then 14 from David to the exile of Babylon. Um, and up to the, Jesus character. Yep, I am going to subject you all to, again, the nativity story. And I'm sorry, everybody. But put your thoughts in as I go through this. I might be, um, just trying to dissect this whole thing apart because actually the only thing I've ever read from the New Testament was Revelations because my church was more of an end times thing, and we focus more on Revelations and the Book of John and everything. So I didn't really get to like talk much about this, even during Christmas time, surprisingly. So here we go. When Joseph accepts Jesus as his son. This is how the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, came about. His mother Mary was pledged to marry Joseph, but before they came together, Teehee came together, she was found to be pregnant through the Holy Spirit. Because Joseph, her husband, was so faithful to the law and yet did not want to expose her public disgrace, he had in mind to divorce her quietly. Wait, were they married already? Like, why would, like, if you weren't married already, why would you plan to divorce her quietly? Just don't get married. Also, if Joseph was a righteous man or like followed the law like strictly, wouldn't he, I don't know, kill Mary because she was an adulterer? Because I don't think that, oh, a ghost had sex with me is a good excuse. Or like I don't know, like would it be something that people would believe? Hey, s- I got, smashed by a ghost last night. Now I'm pregnant with the Holy Spirit. or by the Holy Spirit of God. All right, next one. But after he had considered this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary home as your wife, because what is conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. She will give birth to a son, and you are to give him the name Jesus. But actually, oh yeah, because he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. The virgin will conceive and give birth to a son, and they will call him Emmanuel, which means God with us. Now, in the New Testament, I know for a fact, though, even though I haven't really read much of it, I don't think they ever would call Jesus Emmanuel afterwards. Um, I wish I can read all these like little side notes over here. Like it says that, I this comes from Isaiah 7:14 to fulfill this prophecy, but um I don't know if I have time for all that. I mean, I could probably look up, I don't know. Anyways, let's continue. All this took place to fulfill what the Lord said. Oh, I already read that. When Joseph woke up, he did what the angel of the Lord had commanded him and and took Mary home as his wife. But he did not consummate their marriage until she gave birth to a son and gave him the name Jesus. Wait, okay. Um, I don't know what to say. So you're just gonna take your dream, I guess, for granted and say, "Hey, I guess that was a message to me from the Lord, and so I will take my young, I think she was 14 years old, bride to be." My goodness, I don't even know how old this guy was, but I think I've heard him rumored to be around 40. Yeah, Matthew doesn't know much about his Torah. He was not into effing pregnant women. Yeah, he didn't want to know her that way until after she gave birth, as we'll see in the next portions here. All right. The Magi visit the Messiah. After Jesus was born in Bethlehem in Judea during the time of King Herod, the Magi came from the east to Jerusalem and asked, Where is the one who has been born King of the Jews? We saw his star when it rose and came to worship him. Um, Also, like, okay, so the Magi were coming from the east, but the star is already in the east, right? Am I wrong? Am I wrong about this? Is like I thought it's not called the Western Star, right? I'm convulsing here. Look at me. When King Herod heard of this was sorry, when King Herod heard this, he was disturbed, and all Jerusalem with him. He had called together all the people's chief priests and teachers of the law. He asked them where the Messiah was to be born. In Bethlehem in Judea, they replied, for this is what the prophet has written. But you, Bethlehem, in the land of Judah, are by no means the least among the rulers of Judah. For out you will come a ruler who will shepherd my people to Israel. And that is from Micah 5, chapter 5, verse 2 and 4. Mm, all right. I think I'm going to just maybe look up one at least. Micah verse 5, 2. Trying to find it here. Sorry. Okay. Um, in that one it says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are small amongst the clan of Judah, out of you will come from me one who will be ruler over Israel, whose origins are from old, from ancient times." Okay, so it's not talking about Bethlehem, this place. It's talking about Bethlehem, the Ephrathah, the clan of Judah. Um, so I'm not sure what kind of prophecy they're really going for. I'm going to read the full chapter just for context, I guess. Therefore, Israel will be abandoned until the time when she who is in labor bears a son, and the rest of his brothers return to join the Israelites, and he will stand and shepherd his flock in the strength of the Lord. He will bring peace. No, he will be our peace when the Assyrians invade our land and march through our fortresses. We will rise against them with 7 shepherds, eight eight commanders. I don't know. Um, I don't remember Jesus being like a I don't know, leader to, when the Syrians invade the land. And brothers? I don't know if they mean like brothers in spirit or like actual siblings in that one. But let's move on to the next verse. Then Herod called the Magi secretly and found out from them the exact time the star had appeared. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and search carefully for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go worship him." After they heard the king, they went on their way, and and the star had seen they had seen when it rose, went ahead from them until it stopped over the place where the child was. Sorry, the reading here is just a little off for me. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. When they opened their treasures, they presented him gifts of gold, frankincense, and myrrh. Having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Hmm? Okay. So one thing, of course, that I can see here is that they went to a house, not a manger. But most of the stories are depicting that Jesus was born in a manger, not a house. So anybody can explain that to me? And the next one, the escape to Egypt. When they had gone, the angel of the Lord appeared to Joseph in a dream. "Get up," he said. "Take the child and his mother to escape to Egypt. Stay there until I tell you, for Herod is going to search for the child to kill him." So he got up and took his child and the mother during the night and left for Egypt, where he stayed until the death of Herod. And so was fulfilled what the Lord had said through the prophet, "Out of Egypt I call my son." Oh boy. And it's giving me another one, Hosea 11:1. I don't know if I'm gonna look at that, but I think it wouldn't be fair of me if I didn't. But when Herod realized that he had been outwitted by the Magi, he was furious, and he gave orders to kill all the boys in Bethlehem and its vicinities who were 2 years old and under, in accordance with the time that he had learned from the Magi. Then what he said to the prophet Jeremiah was fulfilled. A voice is heard in Ramah, weeping in great mourning, Rachel weeping for her children, and refusing to be comforted because they are no more. This is Jeremiah 31:15. Oh boy, another one. Another prophecy apparently was fulfilled. But what would happen to this place if all the boys were actually killed? You would think that, there'd be some sort of record of like a mass genocide of like kids who were under two from King Herod. Yeah, like you would think it'd be recorded somewhere. But I think this is the only time that it was ever mentioned. It was this story here. The return to Nazareth. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up and take the child and his mother to go to the land of Israel, for those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." So he got up and took the child and his mother and went through the land of Israel. But when he heard that the Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee, and he went to live in a town called Nazareth. So it was fulfilled that was said through the prophets that he would be called a Nazarene. Um, Apparently Galilee was also ruled by one of Herod's sons, so I'm not sure how much sense would it be to move over there too. Um, yeah, I don't know. What's the next one? Okay, here's where we go to John the Baptist. Now, I'm not really going to go into that. So that's the book of Matthew's version of the Nativity, because we have two different versions of this story. We have Luke's version as well to go through, and I'll try to skim as much as I can. I won't keep us in too long. But the first thing I want to point out is this part here, the introduction, which most of us tend to skip, um, in sermons at least. That many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled among us. Among us. They, just as they were handed down to us by those who were first eyewitnesses and servants of the word. With this in mind, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I too decided to write down an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, so that you know the certainty of the things that you have been taught. So this part right here is saying directly that this is not an eyewitness account, and it's just being, I don't know, I want to say a love letter written to Theophilus, saying that it is a hearsay story passed down to tell this person, not an actual eyewitness thing. And most people would think that the Gospels were all eyewitnesses, and were written down by the people that are labeled under the books, like if this was written down by Luke, but it's saying that it's not. All right. Um, the birth of John the Baptist foretold. In this time, King Herod, king of Judea, was the priest named Zechariah, who belonged in the priestly division of Abijah. Um, his wife Elizabeth were also descendant of Aaron. Both of them were righteous in the sight of God, observing the Lord's commands and decrees blamelessly. But they were childless because Elizabeth was not able to conceive, and they were both very old. I mean, that didn't stop people like before this time to conceive children. You had old people conceiving children as well. All right, I'm going to skip down to the next part. Once, when Zechariah's division was on duty and he was serving the priest before God, he was chosen by Lot, according to the custom of priesthood, to go into the temple of the Lord and burn incense. And when the time of burning the incense came, all the assembled worshippers were praying outside. I don't know how this has anything to do with with the actual parts. I'm going to skip all the way till we hear, the birth of Jesus foretold. In the 6th month of Elizabeth's pregnancy, God sent the angel Gabriel to Nazareth in a town of Galilee, to a virgin pledged to be married to a man, Joseph. Wait, hold on. I thought they moved to Nazareth. Hmm. I thought it was Bethlehem that he was supposed to be in, not Nazareth. I don't know. To a virgin pledged to be married to a man named Joseph, a descendant of David. The virgin's name was Mary. The angel went to her and said, "Greetings. Hi, you who are highly favored. The Lord is with you." Mary was greatly troubled at his words and wondered what kind of greeting this might be. Well, yeah, because anytime, especially in the Old Testament, when an angel will appear, that means you're screwed. So, yeah, obviously, like if she was troubled by like having an angel in front of her, it's like, oh, what did I do? Am I gonna die? But the angel said to her, "Do not be afraid, Mary. You have found a favor. You have found favor with God somehow. You will conceive and give birth to a son, his son, of course, and you are to call him Jesus. He will be great and will be called the Son of the Most High, and the Lord God will give him to the throne of his father David, and will reign over Jacob's descendant forever. His kingdom will never end." I mean, Jesus never ruled anything. Anyways, how will this be? Asked Mary to the angel. "Since I'm a virgin." The angel answered, "The Holy Spirit will come on you." Oh boy. "And the power of the Most High will overshadow you, and the Holy One will be born and will be called the Son of God, Emmanuel." Even Elizabeth, your relative, is going to have a child in her old age, and she who was said to be unable to conceive in her 6th month. For no word from God will ever fail. Of course. "I am the Lord's servant," Mary answered. "May your word be to me be fulfilled." And the angel left her. So she just willingly said, "Yeah, I've been thirsty this whole time. Somebody please come to me." Oh boy. Um, there's more. They talk about John the Baptist's birth. Let me go forward to another page here. The birth of Jesus. There we go. In those days of Caesar Augustus issued a decree that the census should be taken of the entire Roman world. This was the first census that took place while Quirinius was governor of Syria, and everyone went to their own town to register. So Joseph went up to the town of Nazareth in Galilee to Judea, to Bethlehem, to the town of David, because he belonged to the house and the line of David. He went there to register with Mary and was pledged to be married to him and was expecting a child. Yahweh was into Bukake? Yes. I'm not sure what the whole point of the census was and why did Joseph had to go all the way to the place where his ancestor David was from. Like you would think he'd just stay where he was at, but for some dumb reason he had to go all the way over there. And I don't know, it was like what 14 or 20, I'm sorry, like 28 generations or something like that. Like how's he gonna know where exactly was David? Anyways, while they were there, the time came for the baby to be born, and she gave birth to her firstborn, a son. She wrapped him in clothes and placed him in a manger. Okay, so yeah, here's the thing that this is the part where the manger is at, not a house, because there was no guest room available for them. Even though in the last story it said that they were in a house, so they couldn't go anywhere else but a manger to give birth. And there were shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over their flocks at night. An angel of the Lord appeared to them, and the glory of the Lord shone around them, and they were terrified. But the angel said to them, "Do not be afraid. I bring good news that will cause great joy for all the people. Today, in the town of David, a Savior has been born to you. He is the Messiah, the Lord. This will be a sign to you. You will find a baby wrapped in clothes, lying in a manger." Okay, so um, this was all of a sudden, I guess, where there's shepherds living out in the fields nearby, keeping watch over the flock. And suddenly, for some reason, the angel wanted to appear to them and say, "Hey, this is happening over here at some manger." Like, I don't see that there was a sign of a star or anything like that just yet. The angel just said, "There's a manger you gotta look for, and there's a baby." Oh boy. Suddenly, a great company of heavenly hosts appeared with with the angel, praising God and saying, "Glory to God in the highest heaven, and on earth peace to those whose his favor rests." When the angel had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to another, "Let's go to Bethlehem and see this thing that has happened, which the Lord has told us about." So they hurried off and found Mary and Joseph and the baby. Don't forget the baby, who was laying on the manger. And they had seen him. Sorry, when they had seen him, they had spread the word concerning that he had been what had been told about this child. And all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds had said to them. But Mary treasured up all these things and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for the things that they had heard and seen, which were just as they had been told. Okay, so we don't get magi here. I don't remember, but I don't think we get magi here. We get shepherds. On the eighth day, I guess when Jesus was born, um, when it was time to circumcise the child, he was named Jesus. So 8 days later, they named him Jesus, the name the angel had given him before he was conceived. Jesus presented in the temple. When the time came for the purification rites required by the law of Moses, Joseph and Mary took him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every firstborn male is to be consecrated to the Lord, because it's very important to cut the weenus skin off of the kids and offer a sacrifice in keeping with what is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of doves or two young pigeons. Oh boy. So they're still kind of like doing the sacrifice, I guess. Now there is a man in Jerusalem called Simon, who was righteous and devout, and he was waiting for the consolation of Israel, and the Holy Spirit was with him. He was revealed to him by the Holy Spirit that he will not die before he had seen the Lord's Messiah. Moved by the Spirit, he went to the temple courts. When the parents brought in the child Jesus to do for him what the custom of the law required, which circumcision, I guess, Simon took him in his arms and praised God. Okay, I'm just gonna skip that too. When Joseph and Mary had done everything required by the law of the Lord, they returned to Galilee or to their own town of Nazareth. And the child grew and became strong, like Hercules, I guess. He was filled with wisdom, and the grace of God was with him. Okay. Oh wow, this is I guess this is the part where they would talk about him, the boy Jesus, when he was 12 years old. But I think we passed the actual nativity story past this. Um, yeah, I guess that's it for this. I'm just gonna skim through just to make sure. Let me look at the other page. Yeah, yeah, okay. We're done. We're done, everybody, with this. I guess there was other things that were mentioned, that he was um he was supposed to, like, I don't know, he was supposed to do something before he knew between right and wrong. I don't know what that part is at. I forgot. But anyways, that's it for this part of the stream. We have less than an hour to do chat. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the chat. Let me go ahead and go to here. I don't know if this does anything, but let's do that. Let's do that. And then I'm going to go onto Twitter and send a couple links. Sorry, I bored everybody with the whole last, two stories. But, I never read it. And reading it, I'm not convinced still. Okay, that's one person. And let me go ahead and send it to the relay for anybody who wants to join. Okay, Fun fact, Peter and Paul had a fight over whether Gentile Christians had to be circumcised. Peter won and Christians didn't circumcise until Kellogg came along. I did not know that. Oh, and okay, and some other cultures waited a whole year before naming. I kind of wish I waited or was able to wait before naming my child. But then again, we had a whole 9 months. Okay, I'm gonna go back to this here and make myself big. And yes, I'm wearing shorts on the coldest time of the year. Look at me being so out of place right now. This is supposed to be my summer gear, but I decided to use it for today. Doesn't it look cute? Hopefully everybody got this link or is able to see the link. Otherwise, I'm just going to monologue. And my voice is not really up for it. Typical wardrobe for this time of year in Minnesota, you say, Purple? Well, I've only been to Minnesota once, and that was to visit you. Yeah. I don't know what winter's like over there. I wanted to go over for the fall, but and then to see the foliage, but I wasn't able to. I'm terribly sorry to both you and Jenny and anybody out there. All right. We have
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah, I
Thanks
figured
for
I'd
joining.
jump into at least one of these before I crash.
Oh, no worries. I thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate you putting some interesting facts on the side chat there. And we also have Purple.
Hello.
Hey, Purple.
Hello. I know Jenny said she was gonna join. Just waiting for her to come in. I sent her a link to the stream, so if she has time, if not, it's okay. I understand. I was hoping to probably get some sleep myself. I'm just not feeling well today.
Yeah.
Well,
I've been up for about 12 and a half hours.
Really?
Yeah, because I work night shifts.
Oh my gosh, I hated doing night shifts back then. Oh,
yeah.
I know what that feels.
But on the upside, this is the last Saturday morning I'll be working until next November/December.
Oh, okay. So you have a replacement, is what you're saying.
No, peak season just ended.
Oh, okay.
Because I work at FedEx.
Oh, so they only have you do weekends during the heavy package season?
Well, they basically during the pre-Christmas peak season, everybody has to work a mandatory 6-day week, and my schedule now is normally Monday to Friday.
Hey there,
Hello. Hi.
good to see you in here.
Yeah, good to be here. Oh, oops, I got to change that joke I was doing in a previous stream. Sorry.
I was wondering about that name.
The name tag?
Yeah, it It was a joke on a friend's username. It was a joke on a friend's username.
Oh, no worries. I was wondering who it was. Like when I saw the name, I was like, I
Yeah.
don't remember this person.
Yeah, I can understand that. Mhm.
No worries. Good to have you here, though.
Yeah. I always preferred working night shifts. I just don't do mornings.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
used to prefer working night shifts because I wanted to be home for my daughter to be able to pick her up from school and drop her off and do anything. But by the time the morning came, I just wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I never had to do it when I had kids. That would make things very different.
Yeah, I can do just about any shift. I just can't switch because I need a I can sleep any schedule. It just needs to be set. As if I get too sleep deprived, my epilepsy starts acting up.
You need a schedule, but any schedule.
Yeah.
Well, the whole rotating shift thing is just a bad idea. It screws up everyone. It's a bad idea for the companies because it guarantees that none of your employees are ever working at more than half capacity.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's been rough for anybody working in that field.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like on the other hand, there's the other side of the pond where that entire industry is on strike now and has been for months.
Oh my.
Yeah.
We were scared that the railroad industry was going to go on strike.
If they had, I would have supported them. I think they got a very raw deal.
Yeah.
What was it like? I forgot. Like they get one when they paid off for sick leave or something like that.
Yeah, that's what they were asking for was quite reasonable. They were asking for like 7 days a year of paid sick leave. And they didn't get it. They got like 1 or 2.
Which is ridiculous when you think about it. But I don't know how much the average person gets actually.
But yeah, if an entire group of workers is so valuable to the economy that them striking would irrevocably damage it, which is of course the reason Congress gave for not letting them strike, then and yet you refuse to acquiesce to their reasonable demand, to the reasonable requests, then what you're saying is your economy hinges on exploiting them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And here's Jenny.
Hey.
Hi.
Still good morning, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, at least
about
for us
half an hour yet.
Midwesterners.
Yeah, I mean it's been afternoon for like half hour here, but I'm on the East Coast, so
Well, I'll pretend I'm in New York. Happy afternoon.
I've always considered good morning to be an oxymoron. Any day I'm out of bed, well, it can still reasonably called morning, has very low prospect for turning out well.
Oh.
Don't be blue. Well, it's hard not to be blue in winter, but so I was kind of listening.
Purple.
I was kind of listening to the last few minutes of your stuff there. I didn't catch all of it, but yeah, the Congress should have absolutely given them the sick days that they need. But did you know that there is a federal law, I think of 1897, that prohibits strikes from the railroad because of the effect even back then of the economy?
Well, yeah, back then the railroad was the only way to get any extended distance in any reasonable amount of time.
Oh, it still is.
Actually, I would guess that the reason that the railroad was prohibited from striking probably had to do with the fact that it was how the mail moved.
Well, I can't tell you why it was cast, but it is there. It does exist.
Well, I'm not saying that as a fact. I'm just saying that seems like a reasonable reason for me.
Okay. Now, well, I live in a place where the rail is used a lot. Okay. We have 4 major tracks here that are each one has half a dozen or more trains a day, and many of them are mile and a half long coal carriers. Okay, or taconite or things like that. What else is going to carry a mile's length worth of coal? There's
yeah, for
nothing else.
heavy materials like that, there's just no other way to move it.
Well,
Yeah.
coal is unfortunately still what we use to burn for a lot of our heat and everything.
Well, and also at least half of the electricity plants in Minnesota work from coal.
Really?
Well, exactly my point. That what are you going to do if they go on strike and suddenly all these power plants can't get their coal?
Yeah.
They lose power.
Yeah.
Well, but I've got an alternative idea, but this sounds really radical. What about if the company management negotiated in good faith?
What a strange idea.
I don't know. That sounds like communism to me.
Well, I honestly don't know the various points of the negotiations that went on. I know that the sticking point was the wanted 7 days of sick leave, which I completely agree with.
Yeah. Just the railroad industry, they make a very good profit. There is no reason they can't share a bit more of it with the workers and have the shareholders take home a little bit less.
Yeah, so they
Though,
don't need all that money. Surely.
Though on the topic of good mornings, my favorite quote about good morning has always been and will always be, do you wish me a good morning, or do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not? Or that you feel good this morning, or that it is a morning to be good on?
I remember that from somewhere, but I don't know where.
It's from The Hobbit. Bilbo wishes
right.
Gandalf a good
Ah.
morning, and he
Yeah.
goes into that spiel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good.
I was hoping to have a good morning.
Yeah.
Again, I'm just not feeling good. So I was hoping to feel better by the time that I started streaming, but no, and I couldn't really catch up on much sleep. And we all know that sleep helps with like getting better. But I'm gonna
Well,
try.
if you don't get good sleep, everything suffers.
Oh yeah, but on a surprising note, like I guess the only positive thing is that my body, I guess, is just more focused on taking care of what's going on uh, with me being sick.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't feel my anxiety and I'm not as depressed as I was before getting sick. So it's just been like for me, it's fascinating that my body's trying to figure out like something easier to get rid of.
Well, then we just got to keep you sick all the time so you're not depressed.
I know, but then I'd be miserable just being stuffed all the time like this. And I haven't been sick like for the last 2 years. But of course, I was homeschooling in the last 2 years, and until I sent my daughter to school, then that's kids bring in stuff that
Yep.
we're not supposed to have or we don't want around.
Yeah. Something walking petri dishes.
Yeah. And I think we mentioned earlier this morning we're spreading holiday joy and everything, but I'm spreading just a bunch of stuff because I think I'm making everybody else here sick. So I feel bad. I don't think we're going anywhere.
You're spreading microbial joy.
It's joy to the microbes.
Well,
Wait a minute. Does
they got
this mean that
families
by
too.
being on the stream, we should worry about a computer virus?
Well, a computer virus isn't a microbe, is it?
No.
Well, I don't know. They're small enough that I can't see them.
Then how do you know they're there?
Are we all wearing protection?
If you can't see the microbes, the Earth is flat.
Okay.
It's true.
I love that word, vivacious.
Curvaceous?
Vivacious.
Yes.
Vivacious.
I put on a good face. I put on a face all the time.
Yep.
But yeah, figures, the person who named themselves One Ring would be a Tolkien fan.
Mm.
Oh, that's where it comes from.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm not a Tolkien fan and stuff, so I had no exposure to it. But that answers. I always wonder what the fuck One Ring was.
Yeah.
What? You're that quick on your phone? I don't. Now
Well, that's what the whole Lord of the Rings
Mhm.
thing is all about: is to destroy the one ring of power that can enslave everyone else.
So we all supposed to destroy your ring? Is that why we're here? Are we the Fellowship? Oh.
I don't know too much about Lord of the Rings. My dad was really into it back then, and I've always seen passing some scenes here and there. All I can remember is what is that thing? Smeagol? Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gollum.
Okay.
Gollum.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I
but
can remember.
he
out of it.
was Smeagol, but then the ring corrupted him and he became Gollum.
Mhm.
Wow.
Okay, I was wondering
Personally, I
what that
love
was about.
Hobbit. The Lord
Yeah.
of the Rings, not so much.
Ironically, I haven't made my way entirely through the Lord of the Rings. I've read The Hobbit several times and I've read the Silmarillion several times.
Mhm.
I just haven't had a chance to go through the entirety of the Lord of the Rings. I think, the only one I've read in its entirety was The Two Towers, which is the one in the middle.
Yep.
Mhm.
And
Was Gollum the bald meth addict?
yes,
Yes.
Okay.
in the 70s, they did an animated version of The Hobbit, and I thought that was delightful.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Like if I were to do a marathon of filmed Tolkien stuff, I'd go with the 1970s animated Hobbit, and then the Peter Jackson trilogy.
Yeah, I haven't actually seen the new one.
Oh, I mean, I probably could have done it while I was in Afghanistan, because while you're deployed, you do get a lot of time on your hands. But
Really?
my copies have been lost for a while.
Sounds like college.
Yeah,
Hmm.
You get a lot of time in your hands.
especially when you're a desk jockey like I was.
So sounds like college, or you got a lot of time to yourself, but you decide not to do anything anyways.
Oh no, I read through all of Game of Thrones while I was on deployment.
Oh, I decided to not
Mm.
do anything at all.
Like all of Game of Thrones, all of another George R.R. Martin series called Wild Cards, which
Make
is
nerd, not war.
which is a pretty fun series. I wouldn't recommend it for anyone under 16. But it's basically like in the 50s, this alien virus gets released on the world, where if it infects you, you got like a 90% chance of death. Those who survive have a 90% chance of being horribly mutated, and if you're the 1% that survives and isn't horribly mutated, you get superpowers. So
Oh, cool.
it's like a superhero series, alternate universe anthology sort of thing.
So what makes the difference of whether or not somebody will get the superpowers? I mean, not
It's
numbers, but why is one person immune or whatever?
I mean it's like, so there is in-universe thought that it has to do with your state of mind, because a lot of people who like mutate in areas with a lot of culture, a lot of people who caught the who catch the virus with a long established like cultural folklore tend to either get powers that mimic characters and deities from their folklore, or like get mutated into monsters from their folklore. And a lot of the superpowers seem to be mental in nature, so it's basically like the running theory in universe, but it's not confirmed because they don't know, because it's a weird virus. It's literally called the wild card virus. Is it enhances the human brain, and like gives the does weird reality warping stuff when it interacts with the humans. It upgrades the human brain to be able to warp reality, and depending on how your psyche is at the time, decides on how the virus mutates your body and such.
You say wild card virus, I just think like anything can happen.
Yeah, that's basically how it is. It's anything can happen.
Junie, if I send you a picture on your DMs, can you share it with the group?
I can try. Yeah. You can go ahead and do that. I'll see
Okay.
what you.
I have to break away, so we'll see if I get back on.
Mhm. No worries. Yeah, there she goes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put the link up for our next runner-up.
Yep.
Yeah, let me just do that because we have 15 minutes left. And I'm sorry for everybody who I guess wanted to join in earlier. I wanted to do something for the first hour. It's what I did last year on my stream, was to I think I did drawing. Yeah, I did some artwork, and then I opened the chat for the last half hour.
That was very cool.
Yeah.
The stories and the folklore you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah,
that first Elf on the Shelf thing was just, yeah.
Yeah, it was a great one. If you understood the last portions of it, because it was a little confusing when I first read it, and I was like, oh, you ripped the face off of your brother like Leatherface and put it on you, to try to fool the elf, but knowing that you wouldn't fool your grandmother.
That was kind of weird to me, but okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not into much gory stuff, but any scary story I'm able to tell, I would love to love to share it.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Jenny's back on. Okay, let me see if I can find. You said you sent it on my DMs, right?
Yeah, I'm the one that you sent me the link.
Okay.
Correct to you. I'm since everybody's talking about perception, I came across this really cool picture that's all about perception, and I thought I'd share it. Everybody get a kick out of it. It has
Let me
nothing to do with the
see.
ring, actually, just perception.
Sorry, it's taking me a while.
Yeah.
And let's see. I know I can do this on my. It's probably easier for me to just do it on OBS because I'm not really sure how to do it on StreamYards. Now, let me see.
Yeah.
Perp, can you help her out?
Yeah. On StreamYard, the toolbar on the bottom, there's one that says present. And if you click on that, it'll bring up a window that'll say to share screen.
Or share window,
yeah.
or share Chrome tab.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm gonna do this and click on this.
There we go.
What is wrong with this picture?
That almost looks like some concept art for like Doctor Strange or something.
Is it a real photo or is it like Photoshop?
I'm just asking, what is wrong with this picture?
Well, the big buildings in the background leaning over everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, this is a real photograph. That building in the background actually exists. The reason it can do what we are looking at is because it's not a tall rectangular building. The sides flare out like a fan.
Oh.
Okay, and so you're only seeing this little bitty corner of one of the lower fan areas. But isn't that amazing what it does to the picture? It just twists your brain all around.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is. I'm assuming that it's somewhere cool that understands architecture, like the Southeast Asian area or something like that.
Yeah. And considering how packed in everything is in that street, I'd say probably like maybe, if I were to guess, maybe somewhere in China, maybe Hong Kong.
Yeah, and there's no way anything that cool would be built in America. It's just because
wait, hold on,
dodgy, foolish, ugly. When it comes
we do have some signs down there, and if we could like, if I could get a good look at the sign, maybe maybe there'd be a way to guess like where it is.
Yeah, it's definitely Asian characters.
It looks like it may be in Indian or I don't know all the dialects down there and stuff.
I'm trying to zoom in on it, but I'm not able to for some reason.
On my mobile version of StreamYards, when it's on, I can finger and stretch it out and make it bigger. It looks like up in the corner of the sign, it looks like a couple of symbols that look like Mandarin or Cantonese.
Oh yeah, you're right. I do see that in the upper left corner.
This is a really cool picture. But I'm gonna hop off now because I have another little stream soon. So
see
you later.
Okay, see you, Michael.
Bye.
Yep.
Yeah, Linda is going to be starting up in 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Yeah, she's
Any other cool ones you have, Jenny?
I'm sorry?
Any other cool ones you have?
No, No, I have another version of that, except they're just showing the whole funky building. If you want to see that, I can get it to you.
Yeah, I like to see the actual architecture itself.
All right, let me go grab it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't look real.
Yeah, like I said, that literally looks like, concept art for Doctor Strange. Or like maybe Inception or something.
Yeah.
You should have it.
Okay.
It's a cute avatar, by the way.
Well, mine?
Yeah,
No, thank you.
you're just so girly.
Yeah, I'm mostly like
Junie is the only reason that anyone thinks I'm cute.
You think so?
Yep. Well, to start with, you always draw me looking 30 years younger than I am.
Yeah, the first avatar I had somebody draw of me, they made the hair gray. It's like it's
Oh wow.
not all gray. It's just kind of mostly not quite all gray. There, that's the building. Isn't that something?
Oh, okay. I was not expecting it to look like that.
Oh, what?
Okay, so Casino Lisbon. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna do some.
Lisboa?
Oh, it's in Macau.
Oh, really?
Yep.
So why do small nations like that have such incredibly progressive architecture?
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with America?
Capitalism.
Well, yeah, small nations generally, the government will help build these kind of things just to generate tourism.
So
it's a hotel. There's a label up on top of the building. It's a Hotel Grand something or other.
But yeah, I wasn't. I was actually pretty close when I said maybe Hong Kong, because Macau's basically Portuguese Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
In that Hong Kong, or rather, actually, it'd probably be more accurate to say that Hong Kong is British Macau.
I love the gold coloring of the glass. It's so much nicer than that standard silver mirror.
Yeah.
And that whatever it is down on the bottom,
the giant gold egg.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. Though.
Yeah, I just don't want to be around when that hatches.
So let's hope that building isn't made in such a way that it accidentally fires death rays like the Dalek does. I think it's a building called the Dalek, but yeah, there's this British skyscraper where the windows are arranged in such a way that it accidentally reflects sunlight with enough intensity that it'll melt a car.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The Disney Theater in Los Angeles does that too. It's all polished aluminum. Just fry as shit. I think that's so funny.
Yeah, it's like they didn't really actually think about the environment when they put these things up. How wind and sun are going to play off of them.
Yeah.
There's another one in London that it generates the wind, or it directs the wind down to the street level, to the point that it's like picking things up. People are having trouble just walking past it on windy days.
Yeah, I think there's a building like that in Chicago as well.
Yeah, the one in London, they actually had to put handrails along the sidewalk the entire length of the building, because people literally needed something to hold on to just to stay upright walking past.
Wild.
I'm trying to
I
think
know
of
that.
building in Chicago.
I know that there's a lot of problems with, or can be a lot of problems with buildings that are close together, like New York, the original Twin Towers. Apparently, there was some issue with them at the base and speeding up the wind or something like that, and making it rather difficult.
I'd make a joke about there being a problem at the top in September, but I think that's a bit too soon.
I mean, I don't mind it.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun thing about just eluding jokes is you let your audience's mind fill in the blanks.
Mhm.
Yeah,
I would never do such a thing.
you just be straight up.
Yep.
And that's why we love Jenny.
I love leading people on that way. Because if it's bad, then I can just say, well, I didn't know. That's not what I was thinking. It's very Republican of me.
Yeah.
See, it's you with the dirty mind, not me.
No, that just means I've learned how to lie from the pros.
Mhm.
I see.
Well, see, I prefer to lie from the poetry.
Yeah, I'm not smart enough to write poetry.
I used to write a bunch when I was younger. And I, sorry, I'm just not creative as much as I used to be.
I never got past like the third grade skill level for poetry. It's just not my thing.
I can do it occasionally, but it is so rare. It really takes something to pull it up to the point that it's like only one every couple of years.
Yeah, it always feels completely forced for me. That it's just like I'm not meant to do this. I'm doing this. I'm faking it. It's not right. When I write actual paragraphs and things, it just flows out of me.
Yeah, well, that's the thing for me to get the level of emotion for poetry to flow. It really is almost like a different personality taking over.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't actually really write that much poetry. I just couldn't resist the pun.
That's okay.
And I mean, I'm still creative. I still get ideas. It's just I don't. It's a question of time and energy.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't have either or anymore. Like I don't have the time
Yeah.
or energy, and like the will, if anything.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I can write stories, very descriptive things, but those are kind of more matter of fact things. Poetry just requires, like I said, just the level of emotion for things to flow right. And it's pretty rare for anything to get much of an emotional response out of me at all.
Yeah.
I wish I could write that kind of stuff. I wish I could write song lyrics. I think like people rank on somebody like Taylor Swift. Yeah, she did a lot of adolescent stuff when she was an adolescent.
And
Just to be able to create that what she does out of words is just amazing.
fun fact that that building's called the Grand Lisboa.
oh, and then they had the Casino Lisboa.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay. So they're together. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I think I'll put that on my bucket list.
Oh wow. It was the first in Macau to offer Texas Hold'em games as well as craps.
I know how to play Texas Hold'em. I'm not very good at it, but I know how.
I don't know any game with cards
Really?
other than stacking them on top of each other to make a little house or whatever. And that's not even considered a card game, at least not that I know.
Oh,
No, but that
and
takes some skill.
that picture that Jenny shared
Mhm.
earlier is called. I'm pretty sure it's called "The Invasion," which is apparently a photograph by Paul Suey, and was nominated for the National Geographic travel photographer of the year award.
Wow.
Oh,
That's nice because there was no credit where I found it, and
Yeah.
I wondered, somebody did this. I didn't realize it would be a high end pro like that, but I don't like to steal without credit.
Well, I'm that being said, I'm pretty sure the monkey selfie also got nominated one year.
Yes, it did. The fact that's involved in a court case right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About copyright. Who owns the copyright, the monkey or the guy who owns the camera?
Or rather, if basically PETA's being PETA.
Oh,
they're
yeah, they're
involved in
just
that?
doing it for the publicity.
Yeah.
no.
But I think we're at time.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm
I was
sorry.
watching to to see when they went live, and they haven't started yet,
Oh, really?
even though we are like 2 minutes over. So I guess Linda's having a little trouble getting things going.
Oh,
Yeah.
before I hit the live button on StreamYard, I was just like doing that thing where where you see in the movies somebody like pressing the red button to launch and just waiting for it. I was just like holding my finger out and just waiting for that moment.
Hmm. The
And
precision time, huh?
um and not really. I kind of like what's the word? I s- I stopped myself for a bit. I'm like, am I really ready for this?
Was this your
Hesitated.
first? Was
Yeah.
this your first live stream?
No, I've done a couple of live streams already, but it's been a whole year since I've done like exactly a whole year. Like the last live stream I did was last year's Christmas relay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to think if you had done one, anytime since then.
No, I mean other than doing this, I just play online and that's it. I don't. Yeah, I want to stream it as much as I want to, but I just do recordings of it.
Yeah, I've watched some. I've watched some of your pre-recordeds. You didn't know you had fans, did you?
No.
I watch all your stuff. I comment on most of it.
Yeah, thank you for that. Um, I was gonna also do this, like make this a 100 subscriber, because like last year, that's when I hit my 100 subscriber party. Sorry, I was gonna make this into a 100 subscriber party because last year I hit it and I never
Yeah.
really got anywhere further than that. Um, so yeah, I can now say I had it's been a whole year since I've hit that and I've managed to keep
And
that amount.
TMI is going live.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah, we have some movement on their screen, so it's time for everybody to jump over to their channel.
Well-
I watch your stuff, Ring, but not as much because you're so far over my head.
all that happens when you're tall.
Okay.
All right, everybody, we're gonna head on over to Delicious Danish to watch their stream. Any last words?
I'll
what's
see
it?
you. I'll
what's-
see you
what's her-
all in 8 hours.
What's her
Okay.
official channel name?
Okay, get some good sleep. I put the link for it. Can you see the YouTube chat? Here, I put it in the side chat here too.
Oh,
so
okay,
you can
yeah, I
just
see
jump
it.
to it.
I see it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Purple. Yeah, I tried putting it earlier on. I just don't know if it's being able to be read or anything like that.
Yep.
Nope. Okay, no, I
I'll
did too.
figure it out.
All
All right.
right.
See
Thank
y'all
you,
later.
everybody, for joining. And for everybody that stayed to hear, listen to my babbling. And we'll
Yep.
see you all in the next one.
Yeah, I got to decide at some point here. I'll need some sleep too.
I thought you were gonna sleep on mine because I was wondering like when you were
Yeah,
gonna
well,
ever
I actually only got to lay down for 2 hours last night, so
get some rest. Because I know you gotta run.
I
this whole-
suppose for my next slot instead of a live stream, I could just run a dead stream that, I could just have it there with my avatar for 2 hours while I'm sleeping.
Or just point a camera at you sleeping.
Pull a stool and just put a potato.
Yep.
All right. Later.
Later,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Night. Merry Christmas.
Merry
Merry Squidtmas, everyone. Thank you so much for joining, Ring. I
Yeah,
appreciate
no
it.
problem.
I'm gonna try to get some rest myself. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
just watching over at yeah. I think her name is Linda, but
Yeah, time to make like a car and crash.
hmm I wasn't so sure if I was gonna be able to make it through the whole thing, and I thought I was gonna just like stop the whole stream half an hour early. But I'm glad. I'm proud of myself. I made it through.
Yeah.
Oh, all right, Ring. I'll I'll see you at your stream.
Yep.
All right. Take care.